Fun thing to do in Birmingham, Alabama Tourist Edition. Visit Sloss Furnaces. Sloss Furnaces is one of the last remaining blast furnaces in the United States. It is now preserved as a museum. The site's architecture features massive iron and steel structures. It operated in iron making until 1971, and it reopened in 1983 as a museum. Check out the caption for everything you need to know about visiting this cool spot.
Alright people, welcome to the channel. Welcome to The Haunted Pharaoh, where we go over spooky stories and hauntings from all over the United States. We might go to some all over the world, but for right now we're going to stick to Alabama because that's where I'm from. This first video is going to be about Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama. If you know anything about Birmingham, Alabama, they call it Steel City in Alabama. If you know anything about Bessemer, Alabama, there was a smelting plant there. It was the largest, Sloss Furnaces was the largest steel producing plant in Alabama. They use old workers, or basically black men who had been in jail, who had been falsely accused of something. They were leased over from the prison to Sloss Furnaces to work. Now, a lot of people died at Sloss Furnaces because of safety issues, and one of the foremen, which is going to be mentioned in the video, he was one of the most notorious people to be working there. They say he was responsible for at least 50 people, you know what I'm saying, losing their lives there. So without further ado, everybody, Sloss Furnaces.
5 years after the Civil War, Birmingham, Alabama was founded. With its birth in 1871 came the need for tons of pig iron to fix the U.S.'s crumbling infrastructure. So Colonel James Withers Sloss began to build Sloss Furnaces. A year later, the company opened its doors to hundreds of employees, according to its official website. Jobs on blast furnaces were advanced but also dangerous, and many workers started falling to their deaths in the furnaces. By the early 1900s, conditions had worsened with a cruel foreman, James "Slag" Wormwood, who took dangerous risks to increase production, according to Reader's Digest. During his tenure at Sloss, nearly 50 employees died on site, and many others were involved in terrible accidents. Allegedly, his workers threw him into the furnace in retaliation in 1906. Today you can still walk the grounds of Sloss Furnaces, if you dare. You may even hear Slag's voice yelling, "Get back to work," and witness other paranormal experiences. Would you ever consider visiting Sloss Furnace?
Man, Slag Wormwood sound like a very bad villain from the Captain Planet cartoon, if y'all remember Captain Planet. But as y'all can see, I'm gonna get into some more. I'm gonna show some more videos about Sloss Furnaces, but we know it was built off of cheap labor. If you know anything about pig iron is really not that strong. So when you have all these buildings now that are crumbling, that were built around that time, mostly from pig iron. Let's get into the next one.
In the heart of Birmingham stands a rusted giant, Sloss Furnaces. Once the beating heart of Alabama's iron industry, it churned out metal that built cities and broke the people who worked inside it. Starting in the late 1800s, Sloss used black laborers, including many from Alabama's convict leasing system. Some were arrested on false charges, then leased out to the furnace as punishment. They worked 12-hour shifts in sweltering heat. The air was thick with gas. One wrong step meant falling into molten iron. Men were maimed. Some were buried in slag. In 1906, a foreman named James "Slag" Wormwood reportedly pushed workers past the edge until he fell to his death in the furnace himself. Today, the site is a museum, but many say it's haunted. Visitors hear screams, see shadows, feel heat with no fire. Whether or not the ghosts are real, one thing's for sure: Sloss Furnaces ran on more than coal. It ran on sweat, on fear, and on the backs of men Alabama tried to forget. Alabama Uncovered. history they don't teach.
Sloss Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama are some of the creepiest places I've ever heard about. Colonel James Sloss was one of the founders of Birmingham, and in 1980 he decided to build some huge furnaces so that they could build a train track near the city. But then in 1886, the Sloss Furnaces were sold to another investor who furthered the project even more. And in 1927, the second set of furnaces were built. They also built houses around the furnaces so that people who worked there or were desperate to get a job there had a place to live while they worked. But by the time the 1950s and 1960s arrived, public health became a huge concern, and they realized that these were producing a massive amount of pollution. In 1971, the furnaces were shut down for good, and that's when they were given over to the state. Now, currently, I believe currently anyway, that there is a museum in there, and they also do things like festivals, and there's other things that they use these for. But going back into the history of Sloss, working here was an absolute nightmare. Temperatures would get up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And the people who worked here had to work here for 12 hours a day on a daily basis. To make matters worse, there was a night shift chief named James Scum Wormwood. This man was a terrible person. Under his command, 47 people lost their lives. And many more were injured so horribly that they couldn't even work anymore. There was a huge furnace on this facility that was much bigger than the rest, and they had named it Big Alice. Now, one day in October of 1906, when James Wormwood was on night patrol, he fell into this furnace. Now, this would have been horrific. He would have passed away falling into melted iron. But the thing was, is since James was not that well liked, many people thought that he had been pushed in and he didn't fall in. But the record shows that it was a tragic accident. But James wasn't the only one who passed away this way. There's at least 3 more people who fell into this liquid iron and passed away this way. There was another pretty horrific passing of a person. He went to go eat his lunch next to a rotating gear, and his clothes got caught into it, and I'll leave it at that. And to this day, people think that the Sloss Furnaces are still haunted. Many people believe that the ghost of James still roams around making people work. Often people have heard someone saying, "Go back to work," when there's nobody there. But the scariest story is that of Samuel Blumenthal. He was making his rounds one night, and the furnaces were already off, and he said he came to face with a monster. While he was passing away, he said that this monster was half human, half demon. He also said that the demon tried pushing him towards Big Alice, but he fought back further. He was found the next day. Again, the furnaces were off, but he had third-degree burns all over his body. Unfortunately, he passed away a few days later. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that the place is actually haunted, or is it all just a hoax? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments and follow for more.
That last one about old buddy being almost getting pushed or pulled by that human / D word. Nah, you ain't gonna catch me in there. You're not gonna catch me in there. You're not gonna catch me in there. It's said to be one of the most haunted sites in Alabama, or haunted work sites. We already know that, like back in those times, a lot of people passed away due to harsh conditions. Can you imagine working in 120-degree heat, 12 hours a day? Can you imagine the exhaustion? When I say back then people were tougher, people were a whole lot tougher. Man, this is one of those places where I don't think I would probably visit. I'll tell you the truth. I would visit at tourist times, but after dark, you're not gonna catch me in there. I'm not doing that. Where I'm from a small city called Monroeville, Alabama, and it's got some crazy hauntings there. I can share a few stories from my childhood, a couple that I experienced, and a couple of them that have been passed, that have been told to me by my uncles, my aunts, my older cousins. A lot of stuff they sat around and talked about, and I sat back and listened. And I'm gonna tell you, a lot of the stuff scared the hell out of me. And I didn't think a lot of the stuff was real until I had my own experience, but that's for another video. We're going to get to another video about Sloss Furnaces. All right, let's go.
Way down into this tunnel, you could almost feel the extreme conditions these men worked and died in.
Are you still trapped down here? This is really, really, really creepy in this tunnel.
You alright? What happened?
What happened?
I just got pinched in the eye by you, I thought.
Nick, get your camera away, dude.
Oh my god, dude. This, man. I'm serious. You didn't bump into me?
I didn't even touch you.
Oh, dude, I just got socked in the eye.
You alright, Aaron?
No, dude, I need to get out of here, man. I'm shaking my off, man. I'm serious, dude. Let's get out of here just for a little bit.
Okay, right now, because Sloss Furnace is such a big location, we've decided to set up this little nerve center here with monitors attached to 2 different cameras. Aaron, if you see anything at all around me, call me on my walkie-talkie. If you see anything here, call Nick on his walkie-talkie.
Good luck, boys.
All right. Is there anybody here? Come on. Come on out and show yourself. Come on, is that you, Slag? So make it up. Holy Aaron, are you seeing anything? Because I'm hearing noises, man. That's 3 noises I've heard.
Are you seeing anything around me at all?
No,
There's another little noise there. Oh, man. My whole entire body is completely chilled right now. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm telling you right now, Slag, you're fired. Grab your gear and get the hell out of here now. I'm taking your new job. What the? Right after I heard that unexplained noise, taking your new job. What the? I captured this EVP on my digital recorder. Is that you, Slag?
I just heard something back here.
Ah! Aaron! Ah!
Nick. Did you just hear that? I can't hear anything.
Just fell. There's something here.
Maybe we should get out of here, dude.
Come on, Slag, is that you? No, we're not getting out of here. Now I'm pissed.
I hear you, man.
Right behind my head it said, come on.
Not only did Nick hear this disembodied voice with his own ears, but right after he tripped and fell, the static night vision camera captured something unexplainable. This mist-like figure appears to float downward, then evaporate into thin air. After we zoomed in, we also noticed what looks to be an arm that then morphs into its body right before.
Man, that's got to be some scary stuff, man. If y'all know anything about Scott Bagans and what was this show called? Ghost Hunters? Yeah, I used to watch that show all the time. That was one of my favorite shows coming up. And when I was on back in the day, it was one of my favorite shows. I used to love watching Unsolved Mysteries because I wanted to know what was going on, and I like sitting back, even though it scared the hell out of me. As a kid, I still used to like sit back and listen to my relatives tell their encounters and their ghost stories and all that stuff that happened to them when they were younger. But you wouldn't catch me alive in there, right? Not in Sloss Furnaces, not in any other haunted places if I can help it. You know what I mean? Like, I've gone on some ghost tours. I live out here in Savannah, Georgia. And you already know Savannah's the most haunted city in Georgia. And I'm gonna get into some stuff like that. I might do some exploration and stuff about that. Like I might go on some more ghost tours just to get some footage, just to see if I can get some. But let me know. You know what I'm saying? Give me some suggestions of some places that you think I would like to look into, because you know what I'm saying, I'm only familiar with the things that are quote unquote famous. But if it's some offshoot stuff that y'all know about that's probably way more scarier than going to Sloss Furnaces, let me know. But hey, I've been Pharaoh with the Haunted Pharaoh, and I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Peace.